T-Pain, hip hop artist. And at one point, if you had a hip hop song and there was a hook to be sang or spoken, T-Pain was the guy who would do it. I mean, he did songs with Chris Brown, Busta Rhymes. He had actors like Kevin Hart in his video. So at one time, T-Pain was really on top of the hip hop world, and I think Akon came and kind of took his spot, but that's neither here nor there. In that video, he's asked, what's the most amount of money that you ever had in your bank account? And he said $40 million, and it went down to zero. We're going to talk about that because that's ridiculous, but more importantly, we're going to talk about the lessons that we can learn from that can apply to everybody across the board. Stay tuned, let's get it. What's good? I'm Marcus. You're at the channel of the Debt-Free Dad, where we're talking financial takes, financial topics, and I'm letting y'all know what we got cracking, what's going on over here in DFD's household, because my family, we're on a journey to become financially free and first-generation millionaires. Hey, licensed attorney, not legal advice, not financial advice. If you want that, get a professional, go somewhere else. Don't listen to talking heads. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to anybody on YouTube. Do your own due diligence. Now that those disclaimers are out the way, this dude went from having $40 million in his bank account to zero. Like, for me, I can't even wrap my mind around spending that much. So there's a couple of parts we're going to talk about. I think the first lesson that we can take away from this is a big lesson. You cannot, that's me, that's anyone, people cannot out-earn their stupidity or lack of education. I'm not saying he was stupid. It could be a lack of education. He didn't have the education and the knowledge of finances. But no matter what it is, very few, it may be a few people who can out-earn their stupidity or lack of financial education. But for the most part, it's impossible to out-earn your lack of a financial foundation. If you have bad habits when you make $20,000 a year, you're going to have bad habits when you make $70,000 a year. You can carry over those bad habits when you make $250,000 a year. So, hey, if you're making consistently bad decisions with your finances, I don't care what your earning power is, it's very hard to out-earn your rate of stupidity or lack of financial education. I think T-Pain found that out the hard way. I think the second lesson that we can take from this is that you have to have an understanding of your own affairs, and you can't leave it up to someone to do everything for you. Hey, y'all already know I'm kind of a jaded person just from the nature of where I came up, how I came up, the type of work that I've done. I've seen the worst of the worst. So fortunately or unfortunately, I think a lot of people aren't worth a damn. So with that being said, I'm very cautious of who I trust with what. You cannot leave yourself open to the point where you're taking advice from everybody, taking that advice blindly, where you aren't asking questions, where you aren't doing follow-ups, where you aren't asking for receipts. That's one of the biggest things you have to do to make sure your finances are going to be in order. We've seen this so many times. How many hip-hop artists, entertainers, athletes said that they had accountants, attorneys? I know it's bad. It's like attorneys always screwing somebody over. I'm not like that, y'all. But accountants, attorneys, it's quite often that you see professionals who are supposed to have fiduciary relationships of trust with their client actually abuse those privileges, take advantage, mishandle funds, embezzle funds. We see it all the time. So you have to be cognizant of your own affairs. You can't unilaterally leave it up to anybody. Now, I think the third thing is, and I find this kind of funny, and I could go on and on and on about this video, but I wanted to keep it relatively short. The third thing is, how in the hell do you invest in real estate and lose money? Let's just think about this, okay? Some investments are very complex investments, and this is true. If you're investing in crypto or some high derivative markets or some risky hedge fund that's gambling on subprime mortgages like they had in 2008, there are some things, some investment that just have higher inherent risk than others. You know, this is going to be a lot more risky than this. It's just inevitable. That's how all investments are. All investment has risk. But let's talk a little bit about property, okay? Now, I'm not an expert in investing in property, but I have some land. I have some rental properties. I have a little bit of a working knowledge of this. If you purchase a property and you literally just hold that property, if it's in the right area, but even if it's not, if you hold that property, most times, 9 times out of 10, if you hold that property for 5 to 7 years, you're going to be able to sell it at a profit. It's very hard to not make money when you're dealing with real estate. Now, again, that's not saying it's always the case, but typically when you work and invest in real estate, it's very easy to make some type of profit. You might not flip it and make a 50% or 100% profit, but a lot of times you can make a profit. So with that being said, you need to be cognizant of the investments that people are making for you. I never forget. I don't know if y'all seen it. I'm going to find the clip. Do I want to put the clip in here? Because if I put the clip in here, they probably going to say I can't monetize this video. But I'm going to put a clip in here. And it was a ESPN documentary called Broke. And they talked about a bunch of athletes who made hundreds of millions of dollars in their lifetime, and they ultimately had nothing. And it was one guy. I can't even remember who the athlete was. I'm going to find the clip and throw it in here. Hopefully YouTube let it fly. But this athlete invested in flotation devices for furniture. Devices, bags that you put in your furniture in, and it floats. Now, I know you're asking, now, DFD, why the hell would somebody want their furniture to float? Well, there was a flood in New Orleans. Floods occurred quite often, and someone pitched them on the idea, yo, you know what would be dope? If you could put your furniture in a bag, fill that up with air, secure it, so in the event that a flood happened, your furniture would just float on the water and float its way to safety and not being damaged. And this guy invested a shitload of money in that investment. The moral of that story is, one, that was a crazy ass investment. But number two is, every opportunity is not a good opportunity. You have to do your due diligence. And a lot of times you can just ask somebody. I think the biggest thing is, if you know someone who has some experience in an area or a particular investment market that you aren't really sure of, or you don't have a lot of experience in, if you ask somebody, one thing that people across the board who are successful love to do is talk about how they became successful, talk about what they should have avoided, talk about what you should have avoided. So it's very, very likely that if you know somebody who has some knowledge in that area, if you sit down and talk to them, they will give you free game on how you should proceed if it's a good investment. I mean, I think a lot of people do that. But you know, it's just crazy to see that someone's bank account can go from 40 million to zero. But like I said, we can't out earn our bad habits. We can't out earn stupidity in most instances. So this is where financial knowledge, financial education, a little bit of patience, a little bit of not getting overexcited, a little bit of only investing in things that you have a good understanding about. Like for TPain, you know what would have been a good investment? Music. You know, he knows about music. He knows about creation. That's something that he probably could have invested in because he had a lot of subject matter area. But it's good to know that TPain is doing better now. It's good to know that he learned his lesson financially, because a lot of times people go their whole life and don't learn these lessons. That's it for this video. And yo, y'all let me know what y'all think. I'm doing something different with the background. Let me know, yay or nay, yes or no. It may be red tomorrow. It may be green the next day. I'm working out some things different. So let me know in the comments how the background is looking. And check out the video on the screen. There's definitely more content you'll enjoy. Peace.